Let's talk some NFL player props and anytime touchdowns for week one. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and here we go, baby. NFL week one player props, anytime touchdowns. This is my favorite video of the week, so I'm excited to get into it. Quick reminder, all my best game bets for NFL week one. Sides, totals, team totals, leans, trends, all that kind of good stuff. That video is also out, so be sure to check that one out. But quick reminder, before we get into it, the website, justabetoutside.com, it is officially live. It's a site loaded with premium betting tools. You can choose from 250 plus sports books, find the best odds across those books, any sport amount imaginable. You get instant results and feedback on your bets, how you're doing on plus money bets on this sports book, etc. End of year tax help. It's a lot. You don't get this anywhere else. And also, if you don't want to pay and you just want to join the community tab, anybody you follow, you can see their picks, tail them with one click of a button. And I have a 10-minute tutorial video pinned to the top of our YouTube page as well. It's $9.99 a month to use these premium tools. Not even that much. And if you want to get one free month, use the coupon code JABOLAUNCH. That's JABOLAUNCH. And we should have some betting contests here coming soon as we get that set up on the website. So, all right, let's get it rolling. No dad joke. I'm going to go with some NFL fun facts. 3 quick ones. So here we go. Chicago fans, I apologize. The Bears are the only team to never have a 4,000-yard passer. I know you guys mostly probably already know that, but Mark Mosley is the only kicker to win NFL MVP. Happened in 1982. And then in 1940, Sammy Baugh led the NFL in passing, punting, and interceptions. You guys remember that. Great year. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to give out my 5 favorite NFL player props, my 3 best anytime touchdown bets, and of course, we'll finish it with a recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Come join this awesome community. MLB every day. We got NFL all season long and NBA right around the corner. So let's get it rolling. And that means it's time for some player props. All right, my first player prop for Sunday, we are going to a bad offense, but a good player. Give me Chris Olave, over 47.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on Bet365. These are all going to be half-unit plays. It's week one. Trust me, I was very tempted to do ladders and one-unit plays and all that, but I'm going to take it easy here. I love this one. This is a possible ladder situation if you want to. I think this number is too low for a number 1 wide receiver. So Olave, if you don't know, he's battled injuries, bad quarterback play, et cetera, in his career. And now he gets Spencer Rattler. So again, not a good quarterback, but he did play one full healthy game with Rattler last season. He had 8 receptions on 14 targets for 107 yards versus the Chargers. That's what you like to see. Again, it's one game. I get that. But in week one, you have to see kind of how training camp goes with these teams and listen to reports and all that, because that's all we're kind of going off of right now. And Spencer Rattler's been very vocal about getting Olave the ball. In fact, he stated that he said Olave is just flat out different. He's going to make it a key point to get the ball to him when he's in. Again, who knows? Doesn't mean it automatically happens, but it's good to see that talk. Olave in the preseason was moved all over the field, so I think we're going to see him in the slot on the outside. You like to see that. This is the main guy here. So overall, last season, he was only fully healthy for 6 games. Hopefully he can stay healthy in this game. But he went over this line in 4 of those 6 games, and when he goes over, it's by quite a bit. The 4 overs, 81, 86, 87, and 107 yards. That's why I said ladder's an opportunity. And 2 of those were versus the Eagles and the Chargers as well. So now facing the Cardinals defense. If you don't know about this team, the secondary struggled ever since, Patrick Peterson left a long time ago. But Garrett Williams was like the only decent corner for them last year. They did draft Will Johnson in the 2nd round. But again, he's a rookie. They'll rely on defender Buda Baker. He's a safety. Not enough to slow down Olave, in my opinion, at all. Last season, the Cardinals gave up the 10th most receptions to wide receivers. They allowed a 68% completion percentage to wide receivers, so they did struggle. Not a team that's going to get just constant pressure on the quarterback either. And then game script, I expect the Saints to be playing from behind, well, all season, not just all game. But Rattler's pass attempts line is set at 33.5, so I can't imagine Olave not getting 50-plus yards here. Give me Mr. Olave over 47.5 receiving yards as my first best bet. This next one is a tight end. Give me Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions. This is plus 135 on Bet365 for half unit. I love this one. Love the big plus money here. It's closer to like plus 120 on some other books, but at Bet365, you're getting some value. So let's talk the man with 2 first names. Henry is one of the top pass catchers for the Patriots this season. He was last year as well. He's competing with, Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas. It's not exactly a bunch of, who's who in the wide receiver department, but In the 11 starts with Drake May this season, last season, sorry, Henry was the number one target. He went over this 3.5 receptions line in 8 of 11 games. You gotta love to see that. That's why I'm not understanding why we're getting such big plus money. In fact, he had 5+ receptions in 5 of those 8 and 7+ receptions in 3 of those games. He had a 21.3% target share, highest on the team in those games. Henry is obviously the safety blanket for Drake May, and I expect more of the same here this year. New offensive coordinator in New England is Josh McDaniels. You guys all know him. Last time Henry was the tight end for Josh McDaniels was in 2023. He started 10 games. How about 59 targets, 41 receptions, 509 yards, and 9 touchdowns? They know how to work together. Facing the Raiders defense, tight ends have hurt Pete Carroll. I know, he was a Seahawks coach. Easy catches in the zone. Seahawks gave up the 8th most receptions to tight ends in 21, 14th most in 2022, 13th most in 2023. Why do I mention all the Seahawks stats? Obviously, Pete Carroll's now the head coach of the Raiders. You can't really go off necessarily just last year's stats, but in regards to the personnel and last season, they did struggle because they gave up the 5th most receptions to tight ends at 102. Gave up also the 5th most yards to tight ends. So we know this Raiders defense is not exactly loaded talent-wise and all that. So I don't think we'll see a lot of 3.5 receptions for Hunter Henry at big plus money. So I'm going to take advantage of it. I know it's probably lower because of Diggs. I'm not too worried about it. 3.5 is not that many. So give me Double H over 3.5 receptions as my second player prop. All right, this third one is a wide receiver prop. Give me Jameson Williams of the Detroit Lions over 51.5 receiving yards at -110 for a half unit. I love me some J-Mo this season. That's right. Last year, he semi-broke out, hitting on a lot of big chunk plays. Had a solid 12 or 11.9, really, ADOT, which is average depth of target. And then this season, he's, in my opinion, he's going to be running a lot more of the route tree. According to the head coaches and everything, they're going to use him a lot more than just some guy that goes deep. If you don't know him, he's a former first-rounder from Alabama, and he is super talented. Ran into some off-the-field issues, injuries, things like that. I expect him to get a lot more targets this year and not be such a boomer bust, kind of have a higher floor this season. Last 4 games in the regular season and playoffs last year, how about 143, 77, 34, and then 19 yards in that final game when they got eliminated. But with his talent, this may be the only time we get this low of a line, honestly. And that's, week 1 can be weird where you judge things and you predict things that aren't actually happening. But you can also take advantage of some lines that you think, might be really low in week 1 that you're not going to get later on as well. So in his only game versus the Packers last season, 80 receiving yards on 5 receptions. And overall, this Packers defense, their weakness is the secondary, especially the corners. Got rid of Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes. I don't see guys like Bullard, Nixon slowing these wide receivers down for Detroit. They did add some pass rush, obviously, with Micah Parsons, but again, he's taking injections. It's his first week. I think he's going to be limited. I don't think he's going to completely impact the passing game of the Lions or anything. So we have a high total. It's not freezing yet in Lambeau, so I like to see that. Give me Jameson Williams over 51.5 receiving yards as my third player prop. This fourth one is our first under of the day. Give me Justin Fields under 27.5 pass attempts, -114 on FanDuel for a half unit. I plan on having more unders today, but there's just too many overs I liked right now. So this is the first under, but Fields is not a guy any head coach really wants chucking the ball around the field 30 times a game. He started 6 games last year. He went under this line in 4 of 6 starts. I think there are less possessions in these Jets games for 2 reasons. First, I expect the Jets to be a very run-heavy offense. The coaches have come out and said it. Coach Len has, and based on their personnel, they're not a team that wants to pass the ball a lot. On top of that, secondly, I think they're going to play at a very slow pace this season. They have no reason to do a hurry-up offense. Their new offensive coordinator is known for kind of running more of a methodical offense as well. Jets really on the outside only have Garrett Wilson to throw to. On some passing plays, it's also going to lead to Fields running with his legs. That's what he does. Looks at one read. If they're in trouble, if he's about to get sacked, he's going to scramble out and get some rushing yards. Obviously helps because that's not a pass attempt. Or it could be a Steelers sack. TJ Watt and this team can get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Just 2 more factors taking away from passing attempts. This spread indicates a low-scoring, close game. That's what we like to see. We don't want to see a blowout. If this becomes, the Steelers up by 20 early, this one might be in trouble, to be honest with you, because these type of bets, you need some game script with it. You don't want him trying to throw a ton to catch up and all that kind of stuff. So I think the Jets defense is going to be pretty decent this year. I think they can keep the Steelers kind of in check here. I'm expecting an under in the full game. I think it's going to be an ugly one. So give me Justin Fields under 27.5 pass attempts as my 4th best player prop. All right, we head out to Sunday Night Football for this 5th player prop. Give me Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns, -125 on DraftKings for a half unit. To be honest, I'm surprised this is a playable line at -125. Last season, as you can see by this outlier screenshot, he threw 2+ TDs in 14 of 19 games, including both games versus Buffalo in the regular season and the playoffs. So this is a guy who does this constantly. He threw 20 touchdowns in his final 8 games. The Ravens team touchdowns is set at 2.5, juiced at -180 to the over. Team totals at 26.5 for a reason. It's the highest total on the board today, or on Sunday. I mean, I'm expecting 3 to 4 touchdowns from the Ravens. I just need 2 of those to be through the air. Now, facing the Bills, last season they allowed the 8th most passing touchdowns with 28. It was tougher to score on the ground versus them. Only 10 total rushing touchdowns. That's why a lot of teams had to do it through the air. In fact, 7 of the last 9 teams had a quarterback throw for 2+ TDs versus Buffalo. Again, last season stats. That's all we're kind of going off of and what we think is going to happen. But I know a Lamar rushing touchdown is possible, especially a Henry rushing touchdown, all that kind of stuff. But he has thrown 2+ touchdowns in 12 of his last 13 games. Now, I think he does it here again on prime time at a nice playable -125. So give me Lamar over 1.5 passing touchdowns as my 5th and final player prop. But we are not done yet. Let's talk some touchdowns. All right, we got 3 anytime touchdown bets. Now, if you guys don't remember from last year, for me right now, they are a quarter unit each. It is not a parlay. Obviously, you guys do what you want with them, but some of these require quite a bit of luck. So first one, David Njoku, anytime touchdown, +250 on FanDuel. I almost bet his over receiving yards. I think he has a big game here. Flacco is a quarterback that loves to throw to his tight ends. And Njoku is also not just a tight end, he's a top 2 receiving option for Cleveland, maybe number 1. But we do have some history with Flacco and Njoku. They played 5 games together in 2023. Njoku had 30 catches on 45 targets for 390 yards and 4 TDs. 4 TDs in 5 games, we'll take that. He now faces the Bengals. Oh, baby, are they bad on defense. Bengals versus tight ends last season gave up the 3rd most yards and 2nd most touchdowns to that position. So this is as good of a matchup as you can get. Njoku faced them twice last year in the first game. How about 10 receptions on 14 targets for 76 yards? 8 receptions on 10 targets with 66 yards in the second game, and he also scored a TD. So with an elite matchup for a guy who I expect to be heavily targeted again, +250. Love this one. Probably my favorite one based on the odds and the value and everything. So next one, Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions, anytime touchdown. -115 on DraftKings for a quarter unit. I usually don't like to bet minus anything for anytime touchdowns, but to be honest with you, this all last year is like -170, -160. I have no idea why this is playable. Yes, David Montgomery's healthy. Not too worried about it. He scored on a ton of games with David Montgomery. He's going to have plenty of chances. Last season, this man scored 22 touchdowns, 20 in the regular season, 2 in the playoffs. That's a lot of touchdowns to get -115. He can score on the ground or through the air, as we saw last year. In the 2 games versus the Packers, scored a touchdown in both of those games. According to these lines, he should get about 13 to 14 carries, around 3 catches and all that. He's a guy who can bust some big plays quickly. Facing a Packers defense, they were average in touchdowns allowed last season to running backs with 11. I like Gibbs to score another touchdown here. I think it's a great matchup. So give me that one. Now the third one. We're going to a second-year wide receiver with a great matchup. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Anytime TD at +125 on FanDuel. I got this one for. But they're going to put up a ton of points. I talked about it in the Game Bets video. Let's talk Thomas before we talk to Panthers, though. In his 10 games with Lawrence, he scored 6 touchdowns. That's a good start. He had his highest red zone target share on the team last year, and now they get the offensive-minded Liam Cohen as the head coach. Offense looked good in the preseason. I expect big things from him this year. Yes, they added Travis Hunter. He's going to be trying to play offense and defense. Still a rookie. BTJ is still the guy. They're going to move him all over the formation, according to Cohen, and just use him any way they can because he is the focal point of this offense. And now we are fading another terrible, terrible defense, the Panthers, the worst in the league last year. And also, they allowed the 2nd most touchdowns to wide receivers in the league, tied with the Texans at 21. Doesn't get better than that. I expect them to be pretty bad again this year. BTJ is a guy who can score in the red zone or he can score on a deep bomb. He's that athletic, that explosive on offense. Either way, I like him to get in. So that's what I got as my 3 favorite anytime touchdown bets. Some honorable mention ones that didn't quite make it. T. Higgins I like because Jamar Chase is just too juiced for me. But Higgins scored quite a bit. And then Emeka Egbuka, again, a rookie, though, for the Buccaneers. I think we see some points in that game. But that's what I got for all the player props, anytime touchdown bets. If I have any more, it will be in the pinned comments below. Of course, on the website will be where it's at first. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. We start with Chris Olave over 47.5 receiving yards, -110 for a half unit. Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions at +135. Jamison Williams of the Lions, minus 110 for over 51.5 receiving yards. And then Fields, under 27.5 pass attempts. And then Lamar Jackson on Sunday Night Football, over 1.5 passing TDs. And then the anytime touchdown bets, again, a quarter unit each, not a parlay for me. Njoku, anytime touchdown, plus 250. Jahmyr Gibbs at minus 115. And Brian Thomas Jr., anytime TD at plus 125. Let's have a great week one. I am excited for Sunday. I cannot wait. Again, all the game bets are out in a separate video as well, and I'll be on the Kyle Krum Show at 11 a.m. Eastern, breaking down all the games with them as we give out more bets and just talk some ball. So thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy week one, and we'll talk to you soon.